Hello, Internet land. We're glad that you're with us tonight. Thank you for tuning in. This is Saturday Night Live, and Zach is going to be our MC, but I wanted to try something new, and I'd like for all my participants, and that includes you too, Jason, I just want us, I need this, so I'm assuming you all need it too. I'd like for you to all take at least 3 deep breaths, maybe 6 if you can work it in. And while you're doing that, I like for you to say either mentally or you can say it out loud. I'm sorry. Forgive me.
I'm sorry. Forgive me.
I love you.
Love you.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Forgive me.
Forgive me.
I love you.
I love you.
Everybody breathe. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Forgive me.
Forgive me.
I love you.
I love you.
I want to turn it over to Zach. Glad you're all with us. Thanks, team, for participating with me on that. And
you're welcome.
You're there, Zach.
Well, welcome to Saturday Night Live. We're glad you're here, and we don't take that lightly. We know you could be anywhere, and you chose to join us tonight or check in with us, and we appreciate that. If you are here with us tonight or checking in later, watching this after the fact, leave a little comment or something. Say, hey, let us know you were here, and just helps us know who we're reaching. And if you need prayer or anything, don't hesitate to mention that as well in the comments. And without further ado, we're going to turn it over to Kate and let her read the steps for us. So please welcome Kate.
I'm working on you, Kate. All right, you're there.
There she is.
Step 1, we admitted that we were powerless over our problems, that our lives had become unmanageable. Step 2, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Step 3, we made a decision to return our wills and our lives over to the care of God. Step 4, we made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Step 5, we admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Step 6, we were entirely ready to have God remove all of these defects of character. Step 7, we humbly asked God to remove our shortcomings. Step 8, we made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Step 9, we made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Step 10, we continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Step 11, we sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. Step 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to others and to practice these principles in all our affairs.
Good job, Kate.
Thank you.
Trying to unmute myself here. Did I get it? Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good reminder for everybody. That was really great, Kate. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Kate.
That's a good reminder. We need to try to mute ourselves when other people are talking. I forget to unmute. So thank you, Kate. That was really good. We're going to move on to the steps here. We're on step 8. And we're first day of August here. So please welcome Lisa.
Hey, Lisa.
Hello, everybody. So step 8, we made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. So this step sometimes, well, it is kind of like an onion. It's got a lot of layers. Sometimes people think that this one is pretty simple. We can make just make a list. I can do that. But I'm learning that this list has a lot of spots that we got to go through and a lot of things that we got to really kind of get real with ourselves. The step book that we use, the Life Recovery Bible and Workbook. Sorry, my lighting is not real well, so I'm hoping there it is. It has it breaks it down into smaller sections, and the section that I chose, intentional sins, and it has two questions that really kind of are thought provoking. And I've worked this section before, but now looking at it, it's brought some other things to mind today as I'm talking to you guys. But number one question is, in what areas have I unintentionally harmed others with my words, my moods, self-pity, depression, anger, or fears? So, And then question two is, in what ways have I acted thoughtlessly without regard for others' needs or feelings? When and to whom? So those questions are something to really kind of, when you're making this list of all the people that we've harmed, is something, before, for me, as many of you know, I sometimes have some issues with being efficient and and short fused and a little bit of anger stuff. And so sometimes I just want to get things done, and I get hyper focused, and I don't mean to, even now in my work, especially, but if I'm on a mission minded, I get hyper focused on the finish line, and sometimes I miss the details. And so what that means is sometimes I'm so focused on, I got to get to here, I forget the platitudes, the please, the thank yous, the niceties. And so sometimes I can be very overbearing and short with people, and I hurt people's feelings, and I don't mean to. I'm just trying to get things done and trying to get it done quickly. And so I have to go back, and I find myself having to go back and go, I'm sorry, I didn't mean for that to happen that way. And I've gotten a lot better about catching it. But I think those are pretty obvious unintentional sins. Those are things that everybody kind of knows we do those things. All of us miscommunicate sometimes, or out of anger or fear. But I think that even further, the unintentional sins are sometimes those people that we unintentionally harm. I think sometimes we even unintentionally, we have some of those things that we know we do to ourselves even, but intentional harms are that we do to ourselves are, for me, I struggle with relationships with people because I am quick to build walls and not let people in. Anytime I kind of have some triggers that may be scary for me, or I think things might be going south, or I mean, it doesn't take a whole lot, and then I put a wall up and I'm done. I'm out. It's just easier that way. If I voluntarily take myself out of the situation, then I don't have to wait for them to hurt me and walk out of the situation. So I take myself out instead of letting them walk out. And so unintentionally, I am harming them by not giving them opportunity to make different choices. So I'm robbing them of an opportunity to have a relationship with me. I think unintentionally, even further than that, I'm also harming myself by allowing myself to continue to feed my loneliness, to feed my fears, to feed my stinking thinking. And I think sometimes we do things even like, well, I'm just too busy. I think busy is an unintentional sin. So sometimes it may be I'm too tired, or I just don't feel like it. I think all of those sometimes are not, we legitimately may not feel well, or we legitimately may be too busy. But I think sometimes those are those unintentional sins where we let things go, we let relationships go, where we let our self-care go, or we let um, our be our wellness go. It could be our mental health wellness, um, but it could even be just our general temperament. Um, we maybe don't have a good grasp on our emotions, and so we get angry a little bit easier. Or maybe we're at a place where we're struggling with um, our um, our recovery, and sometimes we may be struggling with our recovery, and so, well, I can't get to a meeting. This is one I hear a lot, and I used to use a lot, but um, I don't have a ride. I that is one of my it is one of my biggest pet peeves in recovery when I hear somebody say, I don't have a ride. Even though, but then I can hear them tell stories of how you may have traveled on foot, uphill in the snow 3 counties away or you knew how to get what you wanted when you wanted it delivered to your door. So but you can't find a way to a meeting, or to someplace to get wellness. And so I think sometimes we get some of those unintentional things in there. We don't intentionally go, I'm just going to self-sabotage myself today. I don't think that that's necessarily what we intentionally set out to do, but sometimes we make decisions unintentionally. Maybe we start hanging out with that friend that we with the intention of trying to help them, and we unintentionally set ourselves up to get back in a situation where we get triggered. So it's an unintentional sin, and so we unintentionally end up harming ourselves. And we have to remember that when we make this list, that we are a part of that list. We are part of those people that we have harmed. And sometimes those harms that we continue to do are unintentional to ourselves. And so we have to learn how to identify those things that we do to ourselves that are unintentional, to be so that we can be more mindful to be intentional with our decisions and with our choices and with our recovery. I think that when we're making this list, we need to be intentional with the people that we put on that list and
Yes.
what we want to say to them, and including ourselves. We don't just go, well, I know I have to put myself on this list. No, you need to intentionally put yourself on that list and know why you deserve to be on that list. You harmed yourself, but you also deserve to make amends to yourself. You deserve to forgive yourself. That is, well, if you don't forgive yourself, then you're basically saying you're better than God, and you should probably check yourself before you wreck yourself and go back a couple steps. But so but we need to be intentional about even putting ourselves on that list, and being okay with saying, hey, I forgive myself. I'm willing to make amends to me. I'm willing to take care of me. I'm willing to forgive me. I'm willing to love me. Like the exercise we just did with Doug in the beginning, which was to take the deep breaths and to say, I'm sorry, I forgive you, I love you. Those It's okay to say those things to yourself. It's okay to look in the mirror and go, I love you. It's okay. Because sometimes we have to remind ourselves, I love you. It's okay. Hey, you're doing okay. Take a deep breath. You got this. And sometimes we have to have those conversations with ourselves. Take a deep breath. You will get through this. You hear this in the halls all the time. This too shall pass. I tell people it may pass like a kidney stone, but it will pass. So we got to learn to breathe through it. We got to, it doesn't mean it's going to pass with flying colors and be a breeze. It may be painful, but it will pass. And so we have to learn how to cope and deal with that pain, and do that with tenderness and love and compassion and all of those other, and grace and mercy and all of those gifts that God has given us. So I think it's about learning how to turn our unintentional sin into intentional action. And so that's what I have for this portion of the step. Back to you, Zach.
Zach, I'm gonna jump in here
Okay.
since I got the controls. But hey, thank you, Lisa. That was good. And I, of course, on this step 8, this section was the unintentional sins, and you covered that real well. And I wanted to apologize to those folks out on Facebook. We're having something's going on with our technology. Okay, so Lisa, sometimes you were large, sometimes you were small, and sometimes you were light, sometimes you were dark, and that. And I don't know if that's your end. I think that's this here, because I was having all kinds of trouble before we got started. That's the reason why we ran a little late. And so anyway, I just wanted to jump in and say that. And I also wanted to say, before Zach gives the reflection, I entitled tonight, hurting people hurt people. And I felt like this was a tie into this topic of unintentional sins, that things that the offenses that we cause to other people and to ourselves, it hurts us and we hurt others. And what we need to do is hopefully tonight, between Lisa and Zach, going to explain how to fix all of this. How's that? And so anyway, anyway,
If I knew how to fix it, I wouldn't still be coming to the meeting.
well,
I keep coming to the meeting.
Well, but we're all better than we used to be, right? And that's what you said.
Yes. Yes.
And so the thing of it is, reality is, it's process, right, Lisa? It's all process. I need to get you back on the screen there. It's all
Yeah.
process, right?
Yes.
And you like the process, don't you?
Oh, I love it.
I'm gonna throw it back to you, Zach.
Okay. Well, thank you, Lisa. That was really good. She always does really good. And I get the awesome job of following Lisa and Doug, so there's really no reason for me to talk now, but, so I'm doing reflection tonight. And so the original sin thing is a little difficult for me personally, because I tend to the unintentional sin thing for me. And the reason why it's difficult is I have a hard time. I'm hard on myself, like most of us are, and so I usually don't take the time to sit here and decide what was unintentional and what was intentional, and to see what I need to feel bad for. I just feel bad for all of it, or something to that effect. I think that's how a lot of us are. We think if we punish ourselves enough, bad enough, long enough, then we won't repeat the infraction. We won't repeat the mistake. And in the words of Doug, how's that working out for you? I've said it for a long time, and I'll probably always keep saying it, is when you punish yourself, you just push yourself right back over into the very thing that you don't want to do.
Yes.
And one of the things that impressed me about Doug so much when I first met him was he didn't ask you, it's the first person I ever heard in my life that didn't say, what are you doing, or why did you do it when you messed up? He said, what did you learn? which blew my mind because I had never even heard anybody ask that question. And so therefore I had never even thought about what I learned from the mistake. It was never even a thought. It was just punishment. And we don't think that way, but if you think about it for a minute, what we do is we make mistakes, we beat ourselves up, and we usually our own worst enemy to the point to where we want to get away from ourselves so bad we escape into more bad behavior, more unhealthy choices, which usually is the same thing, you know. But if we have a healthy person in our life that says, hey, what did you learn from that? Instantly it takes away the you're a bad or dumb person because you made a mistake. So number one, it eliminates what's that there's something flawed in you, and it empowers you that you could learn from something. It's almost like
Huh.
That was
Did we-
Debbie. I muted her.
okay.
Sorry.
It's
She just
almost
came-
like it.
Just came
It's
in.
almost like it turns our. It's almost like it turns our mistake into an experiment.
Good.
Yeah.
I like that.
Not like I want to continue to experiment, okay, but what did I learn? And usually I learned that all it does is cause me pain, or it takes something from me. I experience loss that I don't want to repeat, or it makes me feel worse about myself. I like myself better sober, so I don't want to repeat the behavior that makes me inebriated, or fill in the blank, so we kind of pass over that a lot. What did you learn? But it's very significant, and I usually doing reflection. I usually read some of the steps, some of the questions out of the step book because the step book is so good. I'm gonna hold this up here. If you don't have one of these, you need to get one. It's the Life Recovery Step Guide, and but Lisa covered both of them. There's only 2 in that section. But one thing that I wanted to focus on, if I could, real quick, is making amends to yourself. Putting yourself on your list of the people that you wronged. Because that's something that I didn't ever. That's something that was very foreign to me. Also, you make a list of all the people you wronged and you make amends to them. Okay. Well, for years and years and years, I wasn't on that list. I didn't make the list of people important enough to be considered that I wronged. Everybody else is more important, because I wronged them. It wasn't about me, it was about them. But the reality of it is that we have to have self-worth and personal value, and if we're not important enough to make amends to ourselves, then how good is your amends to somebody else? At some point we have to learn to value ourselves, and you can say, some could say that if you don't know how to value yourself, then how do you value other people? And you can argue that. I'm not going to go into that, but you do have worth, and you do have value. You're valuable. I don't care who you are or what you've done or how long you've done it. I don't care what that is. I don't care if you murdered somebody, you have value.
Right.
Yeah. You have worth. We are not what we do. I've done a lot of things that aren't who I am. There are choices I made, and I'm responsible for those choices. And I've had to do time for some of those choices that I made, but they weren't who I was. I believe people are inherently good. Most people. I've made some really horrible choices, some things I wasn't proud of and I didn't like, and I would never want to do again. And they were not me. They were the furthest thing away from who I was as a person. But because of the situation I was in or the environment I was in, I made those choices. You know, I wouldn't have made them, you know, and for some reason, I think I need to share this real quick. You know, we have to be careful that we don't look. So I'm a long way off from who I used to be. And I have to be very careful that I don't look in the mirror today and judge the person today for the crimes and the sins of the person from 15, 20, and 30 years ago. Because this guy didn't do that. That guy survived and did that. Now, I may not like it because I participated, but it was a different me making decisions with the information I had at the time and the situation I was in and the emotions I was in and the frustration I was in and the surviving I was in, you know, and you know, as Lisa just said something about the tools that I had back then. You know, I didn't have any tools back then. The tool I had was a hammer. You know, I was the hammer. You know, and if you didn't get out of the way, you were a nail. You know, and so I can't. If I look in the mirror today and I start judging myself and hating on myself for the things I did before, that's not who I am anymore. That person's a long way off. That person was a long time ago. And if we do that, if I was to go in the bathroom right now and start to conjure up all that old stuff and bring it all back up and start hating on myself and hating on myself, it'd take me a while because I'm a pretty healthy person now today, and I'm thankful for that. I used to be a very sick person. But if I work myself over and work myself over and work myself over, you know, because we know how to do that. We're skilled in that. Nobody can work ourselves over and hurt us like we can. We know all the buttons to push. Nobody could push me into a relapse faster than I could. Nobody could push my buttons and make me angry quicker than I could. Nobody could justify me and get me riled up quicker than I could. I knew everything. I knew just what to do. I used to fight all the time, and I used to know what songs to play, and I used to know what memories to think about. I used to have a way I work myself up so I would get really mad and angry and I could hurt somebody. We know how to do that. You know, so if I was to go in there and work myself over for a long time and push myself right over into a relapse, because I've done that before. But that's not me. That's not who I am. That guy's been gone for a long time. And so we need to put ourselves on that list, and we need to make amends to ourselves. And one way we make amends to ourselves is we stop treating ourselves like the old version of us. You know, and I'm not trying to get any hate mail, okay, and I'm not judging anybody else. You do your recovery how you do your recovery, but for me in my recovery, I don't call myself an addict anymore because I'm not. I'm not saying I couldn't be. I'm not saying it was never me. But when I walk into a meeting, like some meetings, they recite that they're an addict, and I understand why they do it. But for me, that's a trigger. I start thinking old ways, and I start thinking of old things because when I used to talk like that, I used to do certain things. So I don't talk like that. You know, Jordan Peterson, we talk about it a lot. He says, you know, we should be somebody we're responsible for caring for. I'm practicing how to be my own best friend, and some days I do it better than others, but my best friend doesn't look at me and call me an addict. Now he doesn't co-sign my bullshit either and tell me that I could never be one. Because a real friend doesn't lie to you; they tell you straight. But if I'm my own best friend, if I'm making amends to myself, I'm being good to myself. I'm loving on myself. I'm making healthy choices. I'm not being around people who hurt me, who wanna share their drugs with me, who wanna get me engaged in criminal behavior. You know, I don't have those phone numbers anymore. You know, um, I don't associate people that are mean to me and want to remind me of who I used to be. You know, if I'm on my list and I'm making amends to myself, then I don't judge myself for who I used to be. You know, I notice the little baby steps I take that are healthy, that bring good things into my life. You know, and I'm going to say something else. You know, I know that we're Christians, and sometimes we get into recovery and we start giving God all the glory for everything, and I'm thankful, and I know that He did it all for me. Okay, but don't stone me. But it wasn't just Jesus that kept me home at 2 or 3 in the morning when I wanted to go kick in the dope man's house and take the dope that I wanted. That wasn't just Jesus, because I still could have went, because Jesus wasn't there holding me back. I was making some choices, and it's okay to take some credit for that. It's healthy. It's healthy because when it was you and Jesus, not just Jesus, then it costs you something. You don't want to give that up. And He wants you to take some credit for the stuff that you did, for the stuff that you sacrificed, successes that you had. He wants you to take some credit for the fact that you didn't go get it when you wanted it. And He was right there helping you, but you still made some healthy choices. And we got to take responsibility for our healthy choices. We don't take responsibility for somebody else's recovery. And we encourage them to take responsibility for their recovery, because that empowers them that they're going to be okay without us, because we may not be there one day, right? But we think it's wrong to do that for ourselves. We tell other people it's okay to take some responsibility for making a healthy choice in your recovery, and let that empower you that you did something well, that you said no, that you stayed home, that you didn't use. But we won't do that for ourselves. We think it's sacrilegious or something. So I'm getting off on a tangent, but my point is that put yourself on your list and make amends to yourself, and practice being good to yourself and being your own best friend, and stop setting yourself up. We know we're setting ourselves up. Every time I was pushing myself out the door, packing on stuff, overwhelming myself because I wanted to get high, I knew what I was doing. We know what we're doing. When we manipulate ourselves, we know. We get really, really good at it. And sometimes we get so good it's just like autopilot. But we know what we're doing. So stop being mean to yourself. Be your own best friend. And that's one way that you can make amends to yourself. So that's what I got. And I think with that, we're ready for Doug time. So please welcome Doug.
Hello, Zach. Can you hear me? I think I'm okay. Yes. All right.
Yeah. I passed it to you. Did you hear me pass it to you?
I did hear you pass it to me. Punted it over to me.
All right.
And thank you. I got a message from Cindy Smith here. I'm not able to manipulate everything here, and Cindy Smith wanted to know how to get one of those books. And if you'll call the church, we can make we can make some sort of arrangements to try to get her. I think you were talking about step guide, but we have the step guide for life recovery, and we also have the life recovery Bible. So, which is the NIV version, which is what we use, which I recommend highly, and it has been very helpful in my life. We've gone through it, I don't know, multiple times in the years that we've been doing Saturday Night Live. I used to have another I used to do another recovery meeting several years before we started Saturday Night Live, which Saturday Night Live has been going on 15 years now, and I used a different recovery system, different recovery information. It was 12 steps, but this is just much better. A friend of mine over in Baxter, Steve Fellows, it just had recently, I hadn't been out very long, and he talked with me, and I said, well, let me look at it. I liked it, and where we've been ever since. So I want to speak to the team. I want to say welcome to Debbie. She came in, and I want to give everybody an opportunity to say hello. And also, if you had any comments on the step and reflection before I get into my ramblings, how about that? Debbie, you want to go first? How about that? Trying to unmute you there, Debbie. Right over here.
Okay, am I unmuted?
Got you now.
Good evening, everybody. Just I'm glad you're here and with us, and everybody out there on Facebook land. Had a busy day with a bunch of kids, but I'm here now. Thank you.
All right. John, how about you next?
Hola, amigos.
Okay. Any comment on what we've talked about so far?
Good stuff.
Hey, Kate, are you ready? Go to Kate. Kate, got any comments and say hello?
Hi, I'm Kate. No comments here.
Well, we know you in that brilliant mind, you got some things going on.
Well, I think it's good. I don't know.
Okay, Lisa, we're going to go to you. Lisa, I think we are. There we are.
Yep. Hello, everybody. I don't have any comments that I've already talked a whole lot, so shared a whole lot other than just, glad you're here.
Okay, Doug, number 2. Where are you? There you are.
Part of that, what Zach was saying, I've been doing that, beating myself up and trying to help others get clean. I cannot do that. I let a friend of mine come in, take a shower, clean himself up, and go. He didn't twist my arm. I didn't do anything, but that's what started. That was the trigger, So I guess I'm just going to have to be bad and not offer somebody something like that.
Doug, you're not bad by setting healthy limits and doing what's healthy for you. That's actually being kind and compassionate to you in your recovery.
Right.
You gotta remember to be kind to yourself, and it's okay to say that I'm important too.
Right, but not on step 8, but step 3. Step 3 is where I'm at. I think I don't have a sponsor. And I need one. I didn't think I needed one, but I think I do. Because I couldn't call nobody the last few days that's been where I've been. My sister, she never did drugs, but she don't know where I've been. You know what I'm saying? She don't understand a lot of it because she's not into that. But she did talk to me and said, "Hey, what you accomplished the last 2 or 3 years, material stuff and everything, you could lose it in a snap of a finger by doing a shot of dope. And I said, I realize that. I realize that. But I'm still thinking about it, and I pray, put it in my prayers every night. I mean, I think about from the time I put the dope in the spoon till I get done, steps, the process, and I don't need to do that. Plus, my health ain't the best anyway, so I just got to get a sponsor and really work the steps. I don't work the steps, but I think I need to. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Doug. Did you have
Thanks,
anything
Lisa.
else?
No, I'm good.
All right. And Lisa, anything else from you?
Well, I would just going to say that I would probably agree with you, Doug. The step 3 is that we made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we
Right.
understand them. And you know what I'm hearing you say is that what you're doing isn't working, and you're willing to try something different because you working in your own understanding is getting you into a place you don't want to be.
Right.
And that you're willing to try something different. And so I would agree that you're at that point where you're making that decision. And I would say that you're absolutely right there at step 3. So
Yeah.
I would just say congratulations. It's time to make
But-
that decision and get some help
but-
getting through that.
But I've been thinking about cross addiction too, alcohol. Alcohol is better, pot's better. I can't be thinking about that.
A wise man told me one time that everything past a butt is poo.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that was in Branson, wasn't it? Wasn't it in Branson?
everything past the butt is poo. So just don't
That's
even
right.
ignore everything past that.
And I even deleted the guy's phone number and stuff, and off of Messenger and Facebook, and got him back. On Facebook, but he hasn't answered me, which is good. I hope he's not dead or in jail. But maybe he's not going to answer it. That's a good thing for me.
Well, Doug, since right now you have our attention, and I just want to say that that's a trigger. So that's something you learned here. So because that and you learned some other things, I'm assuming, correct?
Yeah.
And so I would say you need to pay attention to what you learned. That you can't do that if you are tipsy and your balance is not right, and you're having to use a cane or crutches or something to help you to walk. That means that's what you have to do. And if you don't do that, then you're going to fall and bust your nose.
Pull my oxygen tank with me.
Do what?
Pull my oxygen bottle with me.
Yeah. And the fact of it is, it's not going to work out for you because you're setting yourself up for relapse if you do the things that will trigger you.
Up for failure, yeah.
Right. And you have increased the odds of relapse multiple times there. So what you have to do is you all right, mark it down, this, okay? And let's go back to the little topic about you don't have anybody you could call. And we already had this discussion earlier, right?
Yeah. I wanted to call you, but I know you're a busy man, and I didn't know if you'd take time to talk to me or not. So,
well, so far I think, talked to you
earlier,
almost every time you called, or I called you back.
Yeah.
Right.
Of course.
Now, let me point out something here, though, Doug.
Okay.
Let me point out something here, Doug.
Okay.
I've answered your calls, but you haven't answered mine.
Exactly.
Yes, I just thought I'd just point that out. So.
Yeah. Okay.
So maybe there's a little bit of hiding going on. What do you think?
Well, if there is, I don't know why.
Oh, you do too? Don't lie to
Well,
me.
no, I don't. I really don't. I mean, this just been going on the last couple of weeks. I mean, it's every
Yeah,
day.
I know it's been the last couple of weeks you've been dodging me.
No, I was in Oklahoma. I couldn't get a signal on the one time. 1 week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, really.
Okay.
But Zach, I wanted to be my sponsor, but since I'm an Ozark Center client, I don't think that will work out too good for him.
Well, who knows?
Yeah.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Well, don't we have sponsors at our meeting?
Sure. But the
Huh.
only trouble is we're in a situation here
I know.
nowadays.
I know.
And the fact of it is you have different phone numbers of folks in our meeting. And I know for sure you got mine because you even called it tonight. So
Yeah, and I even got Debbie's phone number too, but I haven't called
okay.
her.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, we're glad you're here.
I'm glad
And
you're there.
we want you to hang in there, and you need to do what I'm going to be talking about here is that hurting people hurt people, and that what Lisa is talking about, our topic here of unintentional sins, and about getting forgiveness for things that we didn't realize that we did it. Okay, because when we do things that affect anything we do affects ourselves and everybody around us. It's either positively or negatively. Either we're loving them or we're harming them in a big generic way. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Hi, Paul. And so what we have, the thing that's on that pressed me a lot here that I want to touch on, because we're running out of time, and I think we've kind of covered a lot of it, and that is that forgiveness, okay, is not for them. Forgiveness is for you.
Right.
Now, yes, though everybody else may reap some benefits from that, okay, and if we treat people, if we learn to not have those times, as Lisa was talking about, where we intentionally or unintentionally, directly or indirectly, hurt people.
Or hurt myself.
We are. That's my point. We're harming ourselves, as she said, and I'm saying it too, and you said it just then, Doug. And so forgiveness is for us, and recovery is about working our stuff out. See, Doug, you got stuff driving you, whether you understand it consciously or unconsciously. Zach was talking about it in his reflection about the stuff that has driven him in the past, and that he's working, and it's not ignoring the past. It's dealing with it, and coming to that place that we're able to position it, that's what I did, but that's not who I am.
Recovery.
And being able to come to peace with that. Does that make sense, Doug?
Yes.
All right. Lisa's shaking her head. Everybody else.
But my problem is I've got a big heart. My mom said on her deathbed, I will do anything for anybody, but you better watch it, she said, because some people take advantage of the big heart. All I was doing was letting him come in and clean himself up. He wasn't trying to push dope on me, but that was the trigger right there. But I didn't do it.
I understand that, and that's a lot of people do have fall into those traps because we do want to help people, we do care about people, but the fact of it is,
Ourselves.
a lot of people drowned trying to save somebody.
Right.
Okay, I remember when I was a kid, I tried to save at different times, several different people from drowning. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. And the first thing all of them did was push me under. Okay. And if I wouldn't have been able to get a big breath, if I wasn't able to manage that situation, I could have easily drowned. Now, guess what? I didn't drown. I made it. And but so did the folks that I was helping. And so, but the trouble is, I think I was fortunate. The trouble is that a lot of people, particularly in substance abuse, in you know, because of all the different things and issues with behaviors, we have to be careful. And that's the reason why we do have sponsors, and we tell you you need to get somebody that's more mature in recovery than yourself. Okay.
Well, and one thing
Right.
too, Doug, is you can learn how to be a helper and not an enabler. Sometimes we have to learn, like you just wanted to, you said your heart was to help him. You just wanted him to get help getting cleaned up. So, but you know that that's a trigger for you. So maybe you have to learn how to
Tough
help
love.
provide him a list of resources, like where the free showers are, or give him a list of places he can go get a free shower. Or
Yeah.
maybe you have a little reserve coin box that has $3 worth of coins, so they can go down and get a day pass at YMCA. Those things that you can do that.
He has an
But there's
income
things
just
that you
like
can
mine,
do. You can help other people.
right? But he has an income like me and wants to choose to live at Walmart parking lot. So, because he's doing the dope.
Right. So he made choices, but you can make choices too. So you got to learn how to make some of those healthier choices for you.
Right.
Even if somebody else is choose to stay sick, you can choose to be healthy.
Right. Play tough love, like.
It's not necessarily tough love. It's just choosing to make sure you're healthy.
The most important person is me in the situation. I need to take care of Doug. That's what I need to do.
That is correct, because if you
Doug
you don't take,
not me.
yeah, if you don't take care of yourself, then
Yep.
then you're not able to help others. And so if you're not careful in our helping, and we don't have time to go into all of this, and I'm sorry about that, Doug,
Right.
but if we don't, we got to be careful that we don't enable people. In trying to help people, that we enable people, and we have healthy boundaries. Sometimes we help people because we feel guilty, and it's a way of trying to mitigate our guilt feelings, and that's understandable. But the fact of it is,
because I've been there. I've been there.
But what we have to do is we have to recognize that we have to stay on a firm foundation, and when we know we have relapse potential, or when we feel weak, we don't add things into our life that weakens us anymore. We find things that strengthen us. And saying that you don't have anybody to call.
Yeah. You got me there.
Hey, Doug, you got a bunch of people that love you. Okay.
Right.
All right. Now I need to finish up my topic here, Doug.
But thanks for telling me that.
You're welcome. And
Lisa,
you need to get a hold of yourself, and you know what to do, and you know what not to do.
that's right.
All right. Okay. And back to hurting people hurt people. And when we feel loaded up with that guilt that we were talking about just there, Doug, then we will either hurt ourselves because we're loaded up, or we'll hurt somebody else. And then we feel guilty about either or both of those. And then we go into this vicious cycle and that overwhelms us, and then that pushes us right into
Uh-huh.
the place of relapse.
Exactly.
And if we were talking privately, I would say, well, what's going on here, Doug, that's causing you to be overwhelmed and reaching out. I mean, we know when there's when there's stuff on the table, we know what's good for us and what's poison for us. And why is it that when we're overwhelmed and weak, we go for the stuff
The,
that's not good
the,
for
ne-
us,
the negative stuff.
right?
Yeah.
We do that, right?
Right.
And that's whether it's drugs or pornography or you just
Alcohol.
you name your poison, right?
Right.
Anger. How about anger? That's a good one. We always like to talk about anger.
No, I'm fortunate enough. I don't have anger. I mean, I do, but not dealing with drugs or anything.
Well, I'd say that maybe you're not totally aware. How about that?
Okay.
And
So then you can be my sponsor. I already tested you.
so did I pass or fail? I'm not
Oh,
sure.
you passed. You passed.
Okay. All right.
100
So,
words ago.
all right, Doug, I'm going to ask you to be quiet and let me finish
I
here.
will.
Okay. I'm going to even
Okay.
mute you.
Okay.
And so what we have to do is, the guy in our recovery workbook, his name was Stan, and he didn't realize that his bad choices, listen to this, Doug, okay, even though you're muted, you listen to this, that his bad choices was affecting all the people around him, and he had some of his bad choices was having affairs, okay, and because he had a sexual addiction, but as far as he was concerned, it wasn't really hurting anybody. Okay, that's his rationalization. But his wife, after the second one or so, she decided she didn't know if she could continue to do this, which was a reasonable thought process here. But he couldn't figure out why she would be upset. I was just trying to pause there for effect. And and because of his emotional unavailability with his kids, deceiving his wife, manipulating his wife, he really didn't have the connection or was able to provide the guidance for his children. And so he didn't understand why he didn't have a good relationship with him, because oftentimes when we're wrapped up in our own stuff, scripturally, what we're talking about is our eyes get darkened. And what the 12 steps is all about is to bring you from darkness into light. Isn't that true? Step 12 talks about coming to a place of enlightenment. Okay. And where you can, and it's not all or nothing. Okay. It's process, it's stages, little by little by little. We see more, see more, see more. It's kind of like driving your car in the fog, depending on how much fog you're in at that time, you can only see so far. And as the fog clears, you can see further. Okay. And so as things clear up in our life, we're able to see. And one of the things that we have to clear up is about this unforgiveness and guilt, shame. How about shame? Anybody ever deal with shame? Everybody that's breathing's dealt with shame. Zach shaking his head. And so what we have to do is we have to come to terms with it, because forgiveness is not about trying to make God happy. All right. Okay. It's not about trying to make everybody else happy, even though it will do some of those things, but is about to resolve your own internal pain, your own internal monsters that chase you around, the things that you punish yourself on. Zach was talking a lot about that earlier, and he did a good job on that. And so what we have to do is we have to become aware of our thinking, our behaviors, and our attitudes, and we have to address our false pride, and we have to come to the place that we're humble enough that, as the book says, that we pierce that part of us so that we can start to open up. Because the reason why we got to open up is because we've covered up so much, right? Because we have so much pain, we want to shut everything out, so we armor up. Done gone to preaching, haven't I? Sorry. And so, not very much, but a little. Yeah. And so what we have to do is we have to come to that place. It is our responsibility to take care of our end. It's not our responsibility what other people's responses are. But the fact of it is, I believe this to be true. When we change, we affect everything and everybody else. It works that way when you're mad, upset, and angry, right? You affect everybody. Well, what if you were able to come to a place of getting some healing, have some recovery, internal recovery, have some peace, okay? Stop those monsters that are changing you. I forgot you a while ago, didn't I? How come you didn't say something? And Jason behind me. Say hi, Jason. Hi. And so what we need to do is we need to, as Hosea in the book, in our Life Recovery Step Guide, it talked about Hosea 10:12. It says, plowing up the hard ground of our heart. Take a deep breath. Everybody out there in video land, take a deep breath. Could it be possible you have some hardness around or in your heart? I know it's risky. But I like something that Brene Brown says is, I pack on 100 pounds of armor to protect 10 pounds of shame. Okay. So what we need to do through step 4 through 9, we're working on this process of bringing us and working us through this process to help us to come to this place. And here, step 8, where we are, we're making a list of people who we've harmed and becoming willing to make amends to them all. And not saying that we're doing it, we're just starting the process, okay? And we're becoming willing to do something, and we're in the beginning of it, okay? Every journey starts with one step, right? And so this is the step of coming to the place of working on this healing, and that do I have a hard heart? Do I need to soften it up? Do I need to plow? Do I need to maybe open up a little bit? Now, you do need to be careful about who you open up to. Yes, all right. Because if you open up to unsafe people, then you can get hurt and then close up. So you're careful. It's methodical, one step at a time. Yes, Doug, you need a sponsor. You need a team of folks around you. That's for all of us, because we cannot heal alone. And most of us don't like that. But it is so, so, so true. You can tell when it's true. Usually it just has a certain taste about it. Right? Yeah. Yeah, I know I need that. even though it's kind of like medicine sometimes. So anyway, willingness of forgiving ourselves and making amends to ourselves makes it easier to do the same for others. Oftentimes, how we treat ourselves dictates how we treat others.
Amen.
And so what we need to do is we need to come to that place. Now, I want to tie in just for a second here about relationships. We touched on it, but the fact of it is, relationships are important. Relationships are the most important because, again, we can't do it alone. And people, even though most of us have walled off, backed up, gone into the cave, put out landmines to try to keep people away from us because we've been hurt. Yes, I understand. It's our survival mechanism, but the fact of it is, all that does is help us to survive, but we're not able to really live and thrive and to feed that we really need. And God created us for relationship. There was no other reason. Relationship with Him, and relationship with others. And I know that's a touchy subject. It's still true. You can disagree with me if you want to, and that's fine. I don't have to be right, but in this case, you are wrong. So I'll just tell you that right up front. Hey, everybody. Any comments before we start wrapping it up? Because we've gone a little bit over. Any comments? Raise your hand.
I just have a quick one. Oh,
Okay.
I think Doug number 2 beat me.
I'll go ahead, Zach.
Well, I don't want. I know we talked about it a lot. I don't want to rehash it. I had a thought when we were talking about, one of the biggest downfalls and the biggest relapse that we have about people in recovery is that we know what it's like to be down and out. We know what it's like to be homeless. We know what it's like to need a bath. We know what it's like to have
Prison.
all that stuff, So when somebody that we know is in need, okay, it's hard not to help them.
Right.
But here's the deal. Very seldom is that God bringing that person to your door. Now, some may argue with that, but God does not tell us to trade places with folks. And if we'll remember in our own recovery, nobody traded places with me. People came alongside me and helped me. It wasn't easy for me to pick myself up. I had to claw and scrape and do it little by little, and I got up.
That's the
But
point.
right. And so nobody handed it to me. And more often than not, I think it's the devil bringing these people to our door. And it looks like God. And the devil likes to disguise himself as light. And he knows just how to tug at our heart because we've been there.
Right.
And we have to remember that just because it looks like Jesus doesn't mean it is. And we're not a bad person because we say no.
Right.
And I remember when I first got into recovery, I felt like I had to help everybody who was trying to get into recovery because somebody helped me a little bit, and I wanted to pay it forward, and I wanted to help them. And the truth is that, it's like something, Doug, you taught me a long time ago was, if you see a chick trying to peck its way out of an eggshell and it's struggling and it looks like it's going to die and you go help it, you're ensuring that it dies, because the chick builds its strength for survival in the world by fighting its way out of that shell. And if you help it and rob it of its struggle, you're killing it.
Right.
And that sounds really, really hard. But sometimes when we help people in recovery, if we help them too much, we're robbing them of their survival, their fight for their strength, and they don't make it and they relapse. And
And
so
it don't,
sometimes not helping is helping. That's what I'm saying.
yeah, and it don't help ourselves.
Yeah. And it's okay in recovery to be first on your list.
Right.
That's the way it's got to be. It's got to be the first on your list. I remember in my first marriage, I was in recovery, and my first wife didn't know anything about my use because she hadn't met me in that time. And I came home one day, and my first wife was starting to mess around with some stuff, and it wasn't even illegal. It wasn't even illegal. But I said, if you're gonna do that, living with me, then we're done, because I can't not do it with you, and I'm gonna do it all the way, and I'm gonna do other stuff. So if we're bringing this into our relationship, we're done,
Right.
because I'm gonna become the monster, and you're not gonna stay with me anyway.
Right. Well,
So
I know.
your recovery has to be most important to you than anything, because we know who we are.
Right.
So that's all I had.
Okay. Can I say something?
Go right ahead, Doug.
You know me, I talk all the time, but I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not where I used to be. That's for real.
Good.
You know, my sister even brought up, look at your health. You might go out there and never come back, meaning die. That's true. So I've got to think about all this stuff. Even if somebody needs a shower, I'm gonna have to say no. I can't be around that.
Okay, Doug, thanks for sharing, Zach and Doug. And was there anybody else that had anything they'd like to share? I see Miracle is maybe with us. I'm not for sure. And Paul is back. Hi, Paul. Glad.
Hi, Paul.
There's Miracle.
Hey, Miracle.
We can't see what you're pointing at. It's a hat, but it looks like McDonald's. Yeah, all right. Okay. The only thing I feel like I need to clean up here is well, there's maybe a couple things, but there's only one thing I want to touch on, and that is that Zach talking about that Jesus didn't do it, that you did it, and what and I agree with what he said, but some people could maybe misunderstand what he said, and that is that Jesus wasn't against any of us. None of us would have made it if he wouldn't have been there helping us. But what he was saying is that you had to take action yourself, and without your action and his help, you wouldn't have done it. He could, and it wouldn't have been done with Jesus alone, because
Right.
if that's not the process.
See, that's what I've been thinking for the last 2 weeks when I pray.
It's both of you. It's not just him. It's you too. I mean, you made
Right.
choices. It's both of you. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
If we,
I'm okay on that, Zach. We in sync?
yeah. No, I appreciate you bringing it up, because I don't want people to think I'm not saying it isn't him, because I do give him all the credit. But I've also met people that also say, well, I want to relapse, and where's Jesus at? And they go off and relapse like he ain't showed up for them. Like
Right.
there's no, I mean, like there ain't no responsibility, and they never made a choice or have any power in it, and that's not true either. And the truth is that Jesus may have been right there doing everything he could to keep me home when I wanted to go out and kick a door in and use. Okay, but
Absolutely.
we were there fighting together. You
Right.
know, he was talking me off a ledge, and I was the one choosing not to jump.
Right.
And
Yes.
and I'm so thankful he was there. And without him, I probably would have done it. But it wasn't just we were there together.
Right.
And he doesn't think it's disrespectful for me to acknowledge that we were there together.
Yes.
And there's some strength in there, and we got to mature as Christians in recovery and know that he's not offended. He wants us to have some strength and within ourselves and know that we're going to be okay. You know, he wants us to have some strength, and it's not just, you know, it's not just all because of him. It's because we have some stuff that he put in us when he made us
Right.
that we're powerful. There's some stuff in us that's good. It matters. And the two of us can accomplish anything. The two of us, I stayed sober many, many nights,
Right.
you know, and so it's not just him. And thank God we have him. And there's many a nights I wouldn't have made it without him. But it was us together, and that's important. We have
Right.
to quit acting like he's offended every time we acknowledge that he helped us make a healthy choice.
Right.
Uh-huh.
And the rest of the story here is that he has given us that power to choose, and he won't take it away from us. And now this may be, you may have to clean this up, Zach, but that even if you did choose to go out and whatever, use, act out or whatever, he was there with you then too. What would you say about that, Zach?
Yes, right by your side the whole time you were there, telling you not to do it. And
Uh-huh.
even if you did it, he loved you anyway. And I believe when you walked out and you were hating all over yourself, because that's what we do, he's like you. He said, well, what did we learn?
Right.
Because he doesn't condemn us. We do all that.
Yes.
We got that down.
Yes.
He doesn't do that.
Yes.
He wants to focus on what do we learn so we don't do it again. Because we're focused on all this sin and everything. and you know what he cares about it? Because it hurts his kids and he loves his kids.
Right.
We're worried about all this sin and doing right and doing wrong, and he loves us, and he don't like to see us hurt.
Right.
His kids are hurting. We're wanting to be right and do good and be accepted and all that nonsense, and he's a parent loving his children, wanting them to have the best life they can have, and not be in danger or hurt themselves. And the Bible the Bible is just a book of the things that you can do to have a good life, and warnings of things of not what not to do
I
if
do
you choose
every morning in the
to
Bible.
practice it. you know but I mean, we got this thing really twisted, and but he isn't all caught up on sin. He's all caught up on what hurts his kids, you know
Right.
and we can't get dirty enough for him to go away. I've
Right.
tried. I mean, you can't run him off. You can't make him not want to look at you. You can't make him get tired of you. Uh,
I
he'll
used to
never
think
give up on you.
I used to think he's mad at me.
He never was, Doug. Never
Right.
was, never will be. You were mad at you,
Yeah. Yep. And I
and
was
and
mad at
you
him
and
too.
not and you probably still are in some ways mad at you. You know, and we get mad at him, and it doesn't phase him. He don't get mad at us back.
Right.
That's what we're used to with people, right? We get mad at somebody, get mad at us back. So we think we got a big problem in the relationship. We don't talk to one another, but he don't get mad at us.
Right.
He doesn't do what we do. He's God, you
Yeah.
know, and so he never gets mad at us. You know, we can't run him off.
Right.
You know, um, something else interesting is that he doesn't answer why. I used to ask him all the time why my dad died. You know why? One day I think he told me he didn't answer. He didn't answer why because the answer is never good enough.
That's why I'm saying when my mom died, I was mad at him and thought he was mad at me and took my mother.
Yeah, but the answer is never good enough, and
Yeah.
he loves us. We just aren't going to understand everything.
Right.
But anyway, he just doesn't want us to hurt ourselves.
Right.
That's sounds too simple, and we want to make it really complex.
Yeah.
But
Well, I'm glad I got on here tonight because I needed this. I really did.
I'm glad you did too. You're part of us. You make us better.
I know.
I mean that.
But last time I relapsed and I come up there to the Christmas party,
Yeah.
I had to brush myself off and get up. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, I'd have still been doing it or dead.
Yeah. Look at you now.
Yeah. But my sister says, you accomplish quite a bit and you could lose it in one shot of dope.
Yeah. Well, it's more about how we feel about ourselves and who we want to be than anything that we have.
Right.
That's the biggest loss
that's material. She's talking about material stuff. I wouldn't be where I'm at today if I was still out there.
Right. Yeah. It's a good thing. Is who do you want to be? That's a really good thing to think about.
Yeah. Right. Huh.
I'm going to break in here and wrap this up because we're way over. Lisa's going to beat me up.
Oh.
So anyway, but it's good discussion. Thank you. Thank you, Zach. Thank you, everyone. I'm glad that Paul came in and out. Looks like we had, and Debbie, I'm glad you're here, Debbie, and Kate, and of course you, Doug, and Jason. And
I can't forget about him.
Yeah, how could I forget about Jason? And so anyway, Jason watched me in my frustrations earlier before we got things rolling. And so anyway, I just want folks to know that God does love you, just like Zach said, that he wants the best for us, even though oftentimes we think we're being punished. Hey, he doesn't, it's not his plan to punish you. Jesus already took all the punishment for us. And and I want to couple with something that Zach said. And if we're punishing ourselves, then all we're doing is trying to add to what he's already done for us. And who do you think you are to add to what God has already finished? Because Jesus said it is finished. Amen. And so you need to forgive yourself and stop beating up on yourself and receive God's grace, as everybody else out there in the group and also in internet land, and let his love and grace and mercy be there. And we're not talking about being perfect or perfection. We're just talking about trying to help people get a little bit better, a little bit of progress, okay? And we make some progress. We're doing better, and God is really cheering us on. All right, and if we learn something, then our life changes, and then we're able to function better, and hopefully some of this in here gets healed up. Hopefully somebody or multiple somebodies got something to help them to be more whole. Some of those pieces maybe knitted back together, and the truth here is that if we ask God to forgive us, we say, Father, forgive me. I've sinned. I'm sorry. I've messed up. Forgive me. Save me. In Jesus' name. If we do that, something happens. Something happens. We allow that grace to begin to flow into our life. And it's working, even if you just prayed that in your mind. So,
Can I ask one question? One question. Does the triggers ever go away?
my answer to that, Doug, is this is a complex question. And the first answer is no. The second answer is you learn how to deal
Cope
with
with
it.
it.
Okay.
Yeah, cope with it.
Right. I don't know if you ever played sports. Okay. I don't know if you played baseball, probably did.
Yeah.
You know, I used to play, one of the positions I played was shortstop.
Me too.
And I used to be afraid of ground balls. Okay. I used to react negatively to ground balls, those hot grounders that came to you. And I learned how to deal with that. Okay. And so after a while, I looked forward to the ground balls, or maybe even in this place, triggers. Okay.
Yeah.
And that gives me an opportunity to work my stuff out. Okay. It's not what happens to me. It's how I respond to the things that happen to me.
Right.
And what we have to do is we have to heal and grow and get better. And so reality is whatever comes my way, I'm able to deal with it in a healthy response. Sometimes it's no, okay? Sometimes I can tell you where to go. Okay, I can tell you who you can get in contact with. All right. I've had people, I had a woman the other day ask me for some help, and I just told her I wasn't able to help her right then. Now, it's not, I've helped, you know, normally I help people all the time. But in this particular case, I wasn't able to help her. So I just told her I couldn't.
Yeah, but what if they don't want to help?
Well,
If they don't want to help, I shouldn't be around them.
That is absolutely the truth.
Okay.
And if people are preying on your shame and your guilt, then you need to take this opportunity to practice how to deal with it.
Okay.
So I'm going to close here. May the Lord bless you all and all you out there in internet land. May the Lord bless you and keep you, and may his face shine upon you and give you his peace. Make healthy choices. Okay. It's not what you did yesterday. It's what you do next.
Right
Make
now.
healthy choices.
I'll be in church tomorrow.
Good deal. And everybody else ought to be in church too. So
Yeah, Zach.
I'm going to turn this over for Zach to wrap it up. Zach, thanks everybody. Appreciate it. Good to see you,
Thank
Debbie.
you.
And we got a
All right.
leadership meeting right after we're shut down here.
All right. Well, we're glad you joined us tonight. Thanks for being part of the Zoom meeting, and let us know if we can help you at all. And like I said earlier, if you watch tonight or you watch later on, please leave us a comment and let us know what you think. And we'll see you next week. And we love you all. Stay safe.
Thanks, Zach.
Thank you too. Good night, everybody.
Good night.